how you doing? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you, Denise. Things are great.
Yeah, welcome everybody. We're at Coffee Chat on Monday again, and I'm speaking with the wonderful Jenny Benzie, the owner of Epernay Wines on Nantucket Island in Massachusetts. And why don't you give a brief summary of the best things that you want to share with the world about what you do? I mean, I'm fascinated by everything you do, but let's let you do the
Thank
intro.
you. Yeah, my name is Jenny Benzie. I am an advanced sommelier and champagne taster from Epernay Wine and Spirits on Nantucket. We are a seasonal business. We're open April through December. And the great thing about what we do is that we provide services for our clients more than just that. They come in and they buy a bottle of wine, but we try to create an experience for them. And we do that. We used to do in-store tastings, but now I do a virtual wine tasting every week. It's on Thursdays on our Facebook and Instagram page. And we do it at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's a great way for us to connect with customers who may not be here on island because some of them live here seasonally. And then also, touching base with our winemakers from all over the world. It's been really interesting to see where people are joining us from and the comments that they have. And the tastings are great. They're really casual. I pick 2 wines every week. You can find out what the wines are by looking at our website or following us on social media. You can purchase them in the store, or you can purchase them locally wherever you are or get something similar to it. And we just casually go through the wines as how a sommelier would taste wines. And it's a great experience because everybody chimes in and tells me what they're smelling, what they're tasting. And I'm trying to help people to learn how to talk about wine in definitive terms that other people can understand. And then if you want to take it a step further, I have an online wine course available called getwinedefined.com. And in that course, you're able to really build some foundations as far as how a sommelier tastes, what they look for, how they analyze wines. That way you take the fear out of picking a wine in a wine store. You're not intimidated when you're looking at a wine list because you're going to learn how to pick a great bottle of wine every time. And so all of this goes back to creating a better wine experience for everybody because they know what they're smelling, what they're tasting, what they're analyzing, everything about it. And then you can kind of impress your friends when you're, using these newfound skills.
Well, I mean, that's just so fantastic. I love wine and champagne, but I have to say I don't have a refined palate in any way. But the most disappointing thing is when you think you've read all the stuff about it and you see the scoring and you think this is going to be great. I like this region, and you get home and you open it and you're going to, oh, that was not what I wanted it to be. And that is the most disappointing thing. So I know I find when I talk to other people and I get recommendations on things, that just makes it so much easier to have a successful choice that really works, and you avoid that disappointment. So the education is awesome too. And I would love to be able to speak about wine a lot more, but just knowing that what you invest in and what you choose is going to be good is just so helpful.
And I think we like certain wines that are very characteristic of the region that they come from and from the grape varieties that they're made from. And I'm not choosing wines that are way out there, that are super funky. I'm also not choosing your everyday wine. This past week, we did do a Chardonnay and a Cabernet from California, but one was from Lake County, which isn't as well known as like Napa or Sonoma. And then the red was from Sonoma. So it's a softer style, almost everyday style wine, not necessarily a $60 wine. So there's so many options out there. And it's, I'm here to help people learn how to navigate what it is that they like, because oftentimes people they don't even know how to say what they do or don't like about a wine.
Right. Well, I know you're also doing a million things, and COVID brought about a huge pivot in your business, a successful one that you jumped on, and you really turned your business around to online, retooled it, and created all this ways to serve your clients in your community at a time that was just a total disruption in the market, because you're a brick and mortar and a retail store. And although you probably had services on island, you had to think about it in a whole different way. Um, how has that, that's added to a whole host of things you were already doing. So how in the world do you keep it all
Oh,
together and keep yourself smiling as you are? I mean, you live in paradise, and Nantucket is paradise, but it's a lot going on. So how do you
it
keep it
was.
all?
Last summer was hard. It was challenging. We decided not to allow customers to shop in our store. We have a very small space, and the increase for deliveries I mean, it was skyrocketed, for us. And therefore we were running the store a little bit more like a warehouse.
Right.
And we already had e-commerce. We already had systems in place to take orders on the phone.
Mhm.
However, we had never done what we did last year.
Right.
And as a small business owner, you have to allow technology to be your friend. And you think, oh, I'm the only person that can do this. There's so much that technology can do for you. So the fact that someone could go online and order themselves and not have to make a phone call, and I spend 20 minutes on the phone with every customer. It's not that I don't want to speak to people, but just to be efficient with your time and with mine, it takes you 5 seconds to type in your credit card information versus calling me. You have to tell it to me. I have to dictate it. So it was a big learning curve for customers and also for us to allow technology to help you create the sales, create the business. The other thing for us, like, we're huge about customer service.
Mhm.
We were doing curbside service. So if someone wanted to come to the door, we would accommodate them. And we had a flow code that was printed. So everybody could go on your smartphone, use your camera, and then the code comes up, and then you can go online and see what our inventory is. Again,
Wow.
leveraging technology for the better of the consumer and for us. And that was a big shift for us, because previously we're so hands-on, one-on-one with everybody that comes in. This year we are allowing customers to come in the store, and some of them are still ordering online. Some of them prefer to stay outside, and then we come and we take care of them there. That's totally fine. But it's great to have the options to accommodate everybody as far as what their different comfort level is.
So now that you have all of these systems in place, and you've like doubled the functionality of your business, basically tripled it probably. Um, how do you stay sane? What do you use to keep yourself sane beyond looking at the ocean,
Oh, for me, fitness and health are really important. And it's something that as an entrepreneur, we struggle with.
Mm,
Going to bed at a certain time, making sure you get up. And I think, if anything, from last year, I realized that my health and eating right and eating regularly and exercise are the most important things. And without those, you're not able to do anything else. This morning, I got up, and before I do anything else, I make sure that I do my exercise. I did yoga this morning, and then I took my dog for a quick spin. It was 15-20 minutes for the dog walk. So I did half an hour of yoga, 15-20 minutes for the dog. I got everything in less than an hour, including my breakfast. And that is a great way to start the day. I feel invigorated.
primes you
I
for the
know
day.
that I have done something that's going to fuel me to get me through the rest of the day. And if somebody had said to me even 5 years ago, I would sporadically walk or do an exercise because I'm on my feet all day being brick and
Right.
mortar. But
Right.
for someone who sits at a desk all day, I think it's even more important for that person. And the fresh air, getting outside, it doesn't matter what the temperature is, getting outside and breathing the fresh air, that's huge. And if you fuel your body with the right things, I mean, we're having a coffee chat right here. I mean, caffeine doesn't necessarily have to be evil, right? It could be used for good purposes. I'm
In
personally
moderation, everything's good, right?
right. I'm personally a tea drinker. But I think that that is huge. And I try to do at least 4, if not 5 days a week. So my work schedule is a little different because we are open on weekends, especially in the summer. Every
Right,
day is the same. It's like Groundhog Day for like 100 days.
right,
But you just choose what works for you. And I know some days you don't want to get out of bed, but if you get up and you do it, and you do it before you open your computer, you do it before you look at anything, it makes a big difference because then you don't have that distraction. Some people, they wait till 4 or 5 o'clock and that works for them in the afternoon. Does not work for me. 4 to 7 is our busiest time at the store. And if I'm at the store, I'm focused on what I'm doing there.
right. Well, I have to say that this has been the week of the month of joy and coffee chat. So we've been talking to a variety of different entrepreneurs about how they find joy. For me, it's flowers and getting outside and fresh air and taking breaks. And for others, it's a gratitude journal and dancing and music. And we spoke to Robin Shear, the Queen of Joy, who's
Yes.
recommends we drive a bike into a lake and see how it feels and have fun with that. She was great. So this has been so helpful because I know when we choose this journey to be entrepreneurs and business owners, that we end up taking on everything. And we have to balance getting help and delegating and all these things. But personally, it's really hard. That self-care piece is really hard to not trade out. And so one of the reasons I wanted to talk to people is I just think that these things, the little things that we do, it doesn't have to be a huge effort. It just has to be a dedicated, this is what I do to make sure I am my best doing what I'm doing. And so I think it's so wonderful to hear what everybody does. It's been so fascinating for me. So
Yeah. I think it's also important to celebrate your small wins, no matter how small they are. And just you and I showing up today together, this
mhm,
is a win. This is a win for us. It's a win for anybody who's listening and gets a small nugget from it. And there's no way to climb a mountain if you don't start. And
right.
small incremental things add up. My wine with Jenny, I had never done a virtual tasting before. I'd
Mhm,
done tastings in the store, but once I did it, for anybody that's scared about doing a Facebook Live, you're talking to yourself. You're talking to the camera. You talk to yourself in the mirror all the time. You don't even see the other people on the other side unless you pretend you see them, right?
Oh,
But you're
yes.
not really seeing them. And you don't have to look at yourself. You can turn your part off and
And
just
just
look
talk.
at the camera, right?
Right, right.
But you have to start somewhere. And so celebrating those little things makes a big difference. When I look at in the next day and I think, well, what did I accomplish? And is my list 3 big rocks or is it 10 pebbles? Those pebbles,
They add
they
up.
add up as well when you put them all in the jar together. So I tell people, don't forget that because you may feel frustrated you didn't get XYZ done, but you got 1 through 10 done,
Right.
and that's going to pave the way for something else.
Right. And I feel like so many people have advice on the best way to do things. For me, I do a lot of my writing in the morning because that's when my brain is calm and fresh and it flows easier. So my 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. is usually creative in some way, but that's risky because that means I'm in front of my computer or in my office. And that means that I can let myself roll right into email and all that other stuff and not take care of the have breakfast, have this, do the routine. So I have to be really diligent. But a lot of people say, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, no, you have to figure out what works for you and what
Right.
resonates with you. And that's, I think, the hardest thing for us to allow ourselves to do sometimes because we have so much
Mhm. And,
responsibility for
and
ourselves and other people.
holding yourself accountable. If you set an appointment for yourself,
Right.
you have to make it happen. And that's can be challenging. I struggle with that. And it doesn't matter if it's, if you made a dinner date with someone, you're not just going to blow them off. So why
Right.
would you blow yourself off? That's disrespectful to you and your project and whatever it is that you want to get done.
I
And
agree.
kudos to you for getting up that early in the morning.
Most of the time. There are a few days where it's 8 o'clock. I'd be like, oops, missed that, you know, it depends.
And you can't beat yourself up for it either. You just have to say, you know what? Chalk it up, didn't make it. Now let's move forward and we're gonna,
Catch up.
day by day.
Well, and I try, sleep, as you mentioned before, is an incredibly important thing for me. I just don't run if I don't get a good solid sleep. So usually those days that I miss are because I messed something up the day before, and I'm catching up, and I let myself catch up. If my body says I can't roll out of bed at 5, then
Mm.
I have to listen to that, because it doesn't help me if I continue on and just force myself to go forward that way. I mean, I'm accountable to myself, but I'm also realistic at
Yeah,
at my age and how the things that have happened. You just have to not be too intense about some of these things. So
yes.
priorities are important too. So,
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed. And I think that it's important to give yourself some grace there, you know.
I
Uh,
try. Mm,
and yeah, and we are the hardest critics of ourselves because we have the highest expectations of anybody.
we certainly
And
do.
if we don't do it, then we don't have a business and we don't have the lifestyle that we want. More importantly, if it takes away from us being of service to others, I mean, we have gifts that it's our responsibility to share those with other people.
Right.
And, it's a big
So
burden.
true.
It,
Well,
it shouldn't be a burden. It's a big weight sometimes, but it should be a joy.
it should be a joy, and I have to say that when I think about service and serving, part of this whole journey and development for me has started as, I was a consultant, I was an analyst, I was a corporate person, I was doing my service under somebody else's umbrella. And when I decided to create my own umbrella for myself and still keep that service piece, it becomes a real juggling act. Like, I really want to serve, but I also know I have to do all these other things too, which aren't necessarily obvious service, but it's just, you have to remind yourself constantly that there is a reason and a purpose that you're doing all this, and it does have a bigger meaning than just making money.
It
Because I think
absolutely,
sometimes entrepreneurs are just like out there to make cash, and we all want to make money, and it's our right, that's what we're here for. But at the same time, that can't be the primary purpose.
right.
Um, Not if you're going to be happy doing it. I mean, just to do it for money is not what we're doing it for. So we do it for the fun, the excitement, the intellectual stimulation, all those wonderful things. So
Right.
how did you get interested in wine and tasting and being a sommelier?
Oh, well,
It's
that's a great
fantastic.
question. My background is working in restaurants and restaurants, you're being hospitable to someone. You're inviting someone into your home,
Mm,
for lack of better words, but it's the place where you work. And a lot of the people that I worked for, the restaurant owners, they described it like that. And they said, we've created this beautiful food, this great menu. We have this beautiful ambiance in this restaurant. You are like an independent contractor, and you're the person welcoming your customers into this space. And then you're providing an experience for them. And you have to gauge, do they want you to be involved or not be involved? But you need to really be on top of whatever it is that you're doing. And it doesn't come as that you're selling them something. When you're trying to describe to them the special, you want them to know what is really special and why they should enjoy this and what it's going to do for them, right?
mhm.
And so my background was always in the hospitality um, sector. And the big thing too, I always learned is following through. And this is huge for any business owner. When they get their entree, that's not the end. That's not the end for them. That's not the end for you. You need to go back and check up on them, make sure everything's working. So if you're providing a product for somebody, you need to make sure that, they're getting what they are supposed to get out of it. But then you also have ways to continue the conversation. Would you like, what kind of dessert would you like this evening? These are our 3 house specialties. May I bring you a cup of tea or some coffee? I have this fabulous dessert wine. And it's very similar in business because you have all these other add-ons that you should have with your business to
Mhm.
help A, increase your revenue, but also B, you're providing something for your
Right.
client or customer. And then when that person leaves, you're thanking them. Thank you so much for coming into my home. Thank you for, allowing me to be part of your birthday celebration, daughter's graduation, your first date, you'll remember
Right.
me forever. And
Right.
then when they go on their way, but it's just following through the whole way. So my background was in restaurants, and I was fortunate enough, I moved to St. John in the US Virgin Islands,
Oh,
and I got a job at Keneal Bay Resort as a wine steward. And I started learning about wine from there. And when I left St. John, I went and I lived in California. I worked at a restaurant, but I wanted to be close to the vineyards. And
mhm.
then from there, I wanted to move back to the East Coast. I wanted to be somewhere warm though. So I ended up in the Palm Beach area,
Oh,
and I worked with a
beautiful.
restaurant that was affiliated with a New York chef. And that
Mhm.
worked out really well. And then from there, I ended up coming to Nantucket because a lot of people do seasonal work between Palm Beach and Nantucket. And so
Right.
I grew a little bit in each of these paths that I went on.
Mhm.
And eventually, when I came to Nantucket, I did some seasonal restaurant work as a wine director, but I had the opportunity to buy into a wine store. And so my husband and I took the store over, and it was great. It was nice that it was already established for a couple of years,
Mhm.
and we had the background and the wherewithal to know about wine, but also having the jobs that we'd previously had to know enough about business to know our numbers and to know what people were looking for and what we could offer that hadn't been offered here
In the
before.
hospitality setting, I mean, Nantucket is just a magical place,
Mhm.
and it is seasonal, but just the vibe and the feeling, and it's very intimate. People that are there, and it's a community,
It
right?
is. And that
Seasonal
was
as it might
another,
be, and that really is the hospitality just
yeah.
fits so well into that.
Yes. People have a choice where they would like to vacation. They have a
Mhm.
choice where they'd like to spend their money. And the person that comes in and buys a $15 bottle of wine and the person that comes in and buys a $65 bottle of wine, they still get the same greeting. They still get the same thank you. We still use their name if we know it. If not, we try to get to know them, because that person that buys the $15 bottle may come back 3, 4 more times and
Right.
continue to purchase from us. And again, that was something I learned working in the restaurants. I'm not trying to sell you the $120
No,
bottle.
you
I want
just
to
want
sell
your
you,
wine to taste good with the food.
right? I want to sell you the $75 bottle that you're really going to enjoy. And that's part of the experience, because you know what? They almost always buy a second $75 bottle. But if they spend $120, they may not buy a second bottle because they're worried about the price, but it may not be the best fit for whatever's going on. But the customer service aspect, there's so many small things that you could do that others out there are not doing. And that alone can set you apart as a business owner. Just being genuinely interested in people and providing a little bit of follow up. It just goes a tremendous way, a long way, more
Well,
than you
I
can.
have to say though, too, we tie this all back into the self-care and the finding joy, because if you're joyful and you are comfortable and confident and happy in your life, then you're able to serve, and people see that. I mean, you exude that. I
Mhm.
am content, and
Yes.
it's an authentic interaction, as
Mhm.
opposed to, this is my business face, or something like pretending. So I find I found I did a lot of training corporate and in what we're doing now. And you really just have to listen to
Mhm.
people, and you have to be open to hear what they have to say, and try not to just say what you want to say, and just try to interact with them in an authentic way. And it goes so far. And so many people don't do that. They want to buy a business, put people in place to run it, and just reap the rewards, and they don't think about that whole experiential piece of it that's so
Yeah.
important.
And that's what people, I find these days, they want experiences. And there are people out there that have plenty of money, but they want an experience. And
Mhm.
they are looking for that. It's not a matter of they're paying to be taken care of. But they choose to spend their money
They
somewhere
appreciate it.
that respects them and that provides some joy for them,
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, it's different than walking into a big box store and you're just wandering aisles staring around. It's so much nicer to go into a neighborhood store that people know you and they talk to you, and that experience really makes a difference. So
Yeah, it does.
now you had a wonderful thing happen to you. We met in with Kim Walsh Phillips, and you won the pitch contest with Kevin O'Leary and from Shark Tank and Kim at her
Yes,
last event. That is
yes,
so exciting. And
yeah.
the reason I bring this up is not that, it's just fantastic, but I think, in my personal opinion, why you won is you exuded excitement and passion for everything that you were talking about in your business,
Yeah.
and you wove together the important salient pieces of what somebody wants to hear when you're pitching your business, but you just had the true authenticity and it came through in every word you said. And so I just want to congratulate you. And how has that impacted what you're doing?
It's been amazing. When the pitch contest was going on with Launch Academy Live, Kim encouraged me to submit a video to become, one of the prospectives, whatever. And so I did the video and I thought, okay, well, I had the video done, didn't think about it. And then I got the notification that I was one of the 8 semifinalists. And I realized as I was putting together what I wanted to say, again, it goes back to the pebbles. Last year, we knew we had to do e-commerce more. We didn't allow people in the store. That enabled us to get people's contact information. I got everybody's email, everybody's phone number, everybody's address, because they were giving me their credit card information on the phone, or if they ordered online, you capture that information. So I didn't realize it at the time, but I was list building. It was huge. And
Right.
then at the end of the year, I was able to go back and see who my top spenders were. We sent them a handwritten note thanking them and acknowledging, no, I don't even know if it's thanking them, but just acknowledging how well they handled the situation and how we did business last year. And it was a way to touch base. I also sent out a postcard to the people who's had accounts with us. And in that postcard, again, I'm just touching base, but I also was selling them on my wine course, getwinedefined.com. So if
Right.
someone over the winter needed something to do, they could purchase the wine course and learn more about the foundations of wine tasting. And it was building on everything with the virtual wine tastings that I had been doing. Did I see this light at the end of the tunnel? Not
No.
necessarily, but it all came together. And now, winning this contest, I'm going to be able to put together a program that I can help other small independent wine retailers to learn and use the marketing tactics that I used in order to help them to grow their business
It's fantastic.
and for them to serve more in their community. It's just amazing. I'm still like, oh my God, I can't believe I won. But it all tumbleweeded together
Isn't that great?
unsuspectedly. So sometimes even when you don't have a plan and you've got these little wins, you
Mhm.
can see later how they come together. Michael Jordan didn't slam dunk it the first time, right? I mean, his story is
Right.
amazing how
Right.
people, his coaches are like, oh, you can't play basketball. And he's like, I'm going to play.
Right.
And, sometimes you just know in your heart and in your soul what you need to do. So, but
And
thank you, Denise, for acknowledging that.
oh, it was so exciting. It was wonderful. It really was. I mean, I wasn't surprised. I was so pleased for you. I think it was just it was a wonderful night.
Yeah.
Um, But it does come back to entrepreneurs, and we enter this space and we're working with people that have traveled a journey and are very successful. And it's very hard not to measure yourself, your chapter 1 to their chapter 10. Right.
Exactly.
And when you get along the way, like you're in chapter 5 or 6, right, it's amazing that you've gotten there. But I'm sure when you started, you were like, oh my God, where am I? Like, I'm doing this, and you just put your head down and you go. But it's a little frightening. It's a little scary to take these leaps of faith in yourself and in the things you've chosen to do.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to see that progression happen for so many people in the groups that we're in, and prove that it can work, and that it can be really fun, along the way. So
It is fun. And I mean, not just because I deal with wine, but I get to deal with amazing people, and my team is phenomenal.
right,
I make a big effort to acknowledge them often, and in hiring, even when we're looking for candidates, we're very, very specific who we hire, and I have a complete system set up for that. I rather have fewer team members and maybe we limit our hours versus having the wrong people come
right.
on. And
Sorry about that.
no, they're just great.
It was my 30-minute timer,
Yeah.
and I turned the sound off. It was supposed to just
Well,
buzz.
this is great. I've enjoyed chatting with you, Denise. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity to chat with you. And for anybody that's listening, I hope that they get some sort of nugget out of something
Oh,
today.
I'm sure they will. And thanks again, Jenny. It's been really great. I will send this to you, and we'll catch up soon.
Excellent.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Bye.